And welcome back to the second part of the Ramble for Great Scott Marcus for episode 15. Mark, we're back, and again, another ramble that you wanted to bring up this week. Weird food mashups.
Yeah. This came to me because I read in a small little blog post about Burger King is... I forget the exact name of it. I want to say they're calling it a
Whopperito.
Whopperito.
Yeah. And
basically, and actually, I'm not going to lie, I would be willing to try it. Like, I like Burger King burgers. But it is kind of exactly what we think it is. It is a Whopper sandwich, but instead of a bun, it is wrapped around a tortilla. And also, apparently, instead of like their secret sauce or whatever, it's nacho cheese. I'm like, hey, that actually sounds all right. Now, like, based off our previous ramble, lifestyle improvements, I'm not going to really go out and eat burgers. So it's somewhat contradictory, but
really, I don't feel like a burger is really that bad.
It's not the worst. Just in general, I just don't eat that much red meat anymore.
I feel like a fried chicken sandwich is worse than having a burger.
You might be right.
Yeah,
but from Burger King, especially because they're grilled, unlike like Five Guys, which is like have some grease with your burger.
Yeah.
But no. Like that mashup, and then
I feel like I want to clarify on the Whopperito real quick.
Okay.
As soon as I saw that, so this is why I originally didn't like. We didn't have a third ramble in mind until just today, and when I saw that, I was just like, "This is why this escaped me," because I saw nothing weird about that. The reason I saw nothing weird is because McDonald's did this earlier, except they didn't call it a fucking burrito. They were honest. It was it's a burger in a wrap. Which is exactly what is done for chicken all the time. It's just it's a sandwich in a wrap. Like, yeah. And granted, there is a slight. Believe there's a slight difference in the type of tortilla shell you use for a burrito versus a wrap. But even still, like, depending on if they cook the wrap or not, or tortilla shell.
It's tortilla.
To me, it's definitely more of a wrap, even with the nacho sauce, as opposed to a fucking
burger.
A burger burrito. If it was more of a burrito, it would be like a ground beef patty with rice or beans or some shit. Which
it doesn't really have in that.
Or even fajita style veggies, as opposed to it's lettuce, it's tomato, it's pickle, and it's just like, that's the shit you put in a wrap. So that's why, like, weird escaped me. Granted, as we talked about this today, I was eating Philly steak pizza, which I am also... Really? You don't like Philly steak pizza?
It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, well, that's because you're a bitch.
It's like in my, like, but we've talked about this again before. I'm weird with food, and like breakfast for dinner just is never going to happen for me. So it's like, I feel like Philly belongs on like a hoagie, like the beef, the cheese, the peppers, like that belongs on a bun.
I feel like you are definitely a person constrained by like these norms that are just kind of needless.
I'm very traditional when it comes to food. I will.
You're very traditional in the sense of a lot of things. Like, you probably would never put a recliner in front of your desk.
No, I wouldn't.
Exactly. And granted, I did this because of pain. But if I had not worried about norms for a while, I would have been in less pain back when, and would have been able to sit at my desk. And maybe even attend to my original website, which I'm still kind of... looking back, I'm kind of happy floundered, because I don't actually think the name was a great choice. Did you freeze?
No,
okay, good. Anyway, so I will say that the mac and cheese fries, even though appealing to me for some reason, appealing as fuck for some reason.
The mac and cheese,
mac and Cheetos,
with Cheetos, mac and Cheetos. So it's basically, I've had fried macaroni bites before. Those are good. That's basically what they were, but then they put Cheetos dust on top of it, and I'm like, that's just. I mean,
I want it
again. I feel like I
but,
would eat it,
but that is
pay
weird.
to eat it, but I'd eat it.
That is a weird mashup.
Yeah.
The Whopperito, Philly steak pizza, these things are pretty normal to me. Like breakfast for dinner. Granted, I had this pizza at like 10:30, which I would have actually had at like
it's so early for pizza.
I would have had it at 11:30.
Yeah.
Because that would have been closer to lunch and made more sense. But we were recording at noon today. Still, I don't have such constraints as you do.
What about the Doritos Locos Taco? Have you had that?
I haven't had that because I'm not interested, but I also don't see it as so weird. Because, like, in the sense of logic, well, you use, a hard tortilla shell for a hard taco. And Doritos are a hard tortilla.
Sorry, are you saying tortilla on purpose?
I mean, that's what that is.
Tortilla? Like jalapeno?
Jalapeno, is there really a different pronunciation for that one?
You pronounce it jalapeno.
That is not a proper pronunciation.
I seriously, I've never heard of people say tortilla unless they're
Really?
like kidding.
Interesting, because
Seriously.
tortilla, I feel like, is pretty proliferated.
I think it's because it's kind of a Spanish or Mexican descent. Like the double L is
I definitely understand the double L. Is it a proper
like
double L pronunciation?
Quesadilla is 2 L's.
Yes, but that is quesadilla. Although there are those who would pronounce it quesadilla.
Well, again, that's like a
now
joking manner.
this might be a bastardization. This might be a bastardization that's pretty accepted because of white people.
Yeah.
For the sake of argument, I will go with tortilla for this, but I will also in my regular life, I will accept tortilla. I will accept that bastardization.
I feel like some research might need to be done here.
That might be tough because you would have to actually search for multiple pronunciations as opposed to just what's Google pop up with first. Anyway,
like tortilla. It's like tortilla, jalapeno, quesadilla, like all kind of one umbrella.
Yes. So a Dorito chip is a hard tortilla covered in basically Dorito cheese. You can't really technically call it cheese.
Powder.
It's a powder. Good word for it. And so that thing, logically, like, that step makes complete sense. Cool Ranch was the next step after that. If they wanted to go with Frito shells, go ahead. Like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't yet, because they put Fritos in some of the burritos.
They put them in the burritos, but those are hot Fritos. I took a step back from that, and I put regular Fritos in soft shell tacos. And those are delicious.
That would be good.
And I'm surprised they actually don't have that as a regular menu item with, like, regular Fritos.
Sure.
Anyway, so, like, that kind of stuff kind of just, I get it. Like, I can see why some might think it's weird. I think weird is, like, when it goes to an extreme. Like, the bun is 2 pieces of chicken. Fuck you, KFC.
Yeah, KFC did that. Or I think Jack in the Box. I know there isn't any around here, but I've looked at their menu before online. They got some weird shit. And for the love of God, I can't think of anything right now. But yeah, the double down from KFC is a good example of, like, okay, that's
weird.
You went over the line a little bit there.
Yeah. Like you put a chicken sandwich in a wrap. If you're putting a burger in a wrap, that makes sense to me. Like, it's just like
I get that. Yeah, it's just from non-traditional standpoint. My non-traditional box.
I will say that the nacho cheese, which I didn't know it was nacho cheese, makes sense, but is more tortilla or burrito leaning. So it is what it is.
Yes.
That's about it for me on that side of things.
Yeah, I think that's about right for me too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good work.
But I do have to
appreciate it.
One last thing is, like, I think I would try it though, and I would try pretty much all the above. But the problem is, I just don't want to pay for it. Like the Doritos tacos, someone's like, "Here, I've got an extra one. Would I eat it? probably.
I
But
think
I'm not going to go to Taco Bell and get one, you know?
I think the problem is that I like what I pick from those restaurants so much.
Yeah.
If it was like a McDonald's thing where I don't go to McDonald's really, like if I do, I pretty much stick to a fry or some nuggets, maybe the McChicken sandwich. But those are like pretty simple options where if there was an option like that at McDonald's, I'd probably give it a shot. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yes.
Hypetrain. What's going on?
You go first because I went first on the other things.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to go first.
This give me time to think too.
So finally, they've announced our launch date for the big Warframe update that will really kind of change things up. So tits. That's on Tuesday. Very hyped for that. And from there were actually going to be about a couple months worth of further updates, which should be pretty cool. So it's going to be fun to watch for those when they're coming. I actually am interested in asking you this. So again, if the come to our bar argument holds, when you start the game, you're going to have 3 Warframes to pick from. Do you want to start learning about those now? Because
no.
it's you should at some point. Like we should sit down and talk about them at some point because like you'll be there for a good like 10 to 15 minutes, kind of like trying to understand each of them in the context of like what it's trying to tell you about each frame. And it'd be much easier if I was just like, well, this frame does this and this one does this and this one does this.
Well, I mean, when the time comes and I download the game, I log on, I'm like, hey, let's do this, and then you walk me through that, and I'm like, all right, just basically this one does this one does that one, and I'm like, okay, let's go for it.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I've been pretty excited leading up to this. I'm still excited. I'm very pumped for the update, and there really isn't much more to say about that. It's a great update, but it isn't adding as much to the game as it is kind of changing things up. So, I want to be excited for No Man's Sky. I know we touched on this last time about why I haven't been excited for No Man's Sky, but like seeing the game, I want to. I want to play it, and I actually have thought about buying it. But then, like, I hear about people naming things stupid shit. Like, apparently, somehow, like, some of the most lewd words in our language have slipped through the profanity filter for this game, and it's just like, jeez, like that is one of the biggest elements holding me back. And some mechanical things where it's just like that should just be in the game innately, and the fact that it was missed is not a good sign. So I really want it, but unfortunately, it's just not happening.
The negatives are outweighing the positives at this point.
Exactly, and I could totally see the game getting a lot more updates within the coming months. That then the price drops too at some point, and it's just like, well, good thing I waited. So.
Good stuff.
That's kind of about it for me, but if you need me to keep going while you think of something.
I've got 2 things. One, the new Rogue One trailer dropped this week. If you saw that, and I almost cried. I was so excited about it.
Why?
Oh my god, it looks so good. I can't wait. Like
it looks good, but
I am. Like, I think it's just, I don't know about you. Like, I'm not sure about your Star Wars past. I was really little when I was first introduced to Star Wars.
Me too.
And I just loved it. One of my uncles had the original trilogy. It wasn't the gold remake. It was like the blue box set VHS tapes. And I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Mine was so original. It was from the first time it aired on TV, VHS recordings. So there were
Nice.
there were even like super fucking classic commercials in between.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I've had so many iterations of that, from like 2 VHS sets to DVD sets, and I could go with the Blu-ray, but
I'm waiting for like at least the second, third now trilogy to be complete before I, purchase all on Blu-ray, or maybe at that point in time it's gonna be 4K Blu-ray.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't enjoy
Mhm.
the fucking thing.
Well, even like I'll sit down, like I'll watch episodes 1 through 3 all the way through. You know what I mean? It's just like,
I'll watch those, but
Mhm.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't like 7. But the thing about 7 was we've been with these characters for a long time.
I think that's where Rogue One has the allure of. Like, it's not part of the Skywalkers and all that stuff.
So I can definitely see that perspective, but it's coming into a movie that's in a universe that we already know a lot about, and these are characters we don't know. So like, how much are we going to get to know about them in the brief 2 hours? Is it going to be enough? Like when it comes to episode 7, maybe it wasn't the start. A great start to this season with characters we already know and love. Maybe that's a good way to look at it.
Right.
But it's already a part of a series where we know these characters. So like, I feel like that's kind of the thing that's gonna hold me back. Like, how much do we get to know these people? Because I think we are really kind of living in a time where TV is kind of dominant because it can be very movie-like, and it fleshes out characters in a way that movies can't.
Well, I think with Rogue One, at least, I mean, since it's not a part of the episodic Star Wars adventures, you won't need to know too much about the characters. I think they're not going to have like a series of developments throughout the movie, because there's probably going to be, this is it, I'd imagine. I mean, it's going to go right into episode 4 after this, basically, is what I'm imagining. So I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue to be able to be like, okay, I need to feel for these characters. I mean, you want to feel for the characters, but as far as developmental goes, that we've seen in episodes 4 through, was it 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, probably not going to happen. But I also have a lot of faith in Gareth Edwards and his directorial know-how.
Edwards did
Monsters and Godzilla.
Oh, okay, Monsters and Godzilla. Monsters, good. Godzilla,
Yeah, I mean, Godzilla. Yeah, I agree. Godzilla was meh, but
so like I want to like. So when it comes to J.J. Abrams, I want to get excited for J.J. Abrams. But when I look at Star Trek and Episode 7 as well, I'm not excited for J.J. Abrams, because I feel like what J.J. Abrams does with things that aren't originally his is that he just kind of crams a lot of detail into them.
Right.
And kind of almost has a J.J. Abrams-ification to the things he does, where
he's getting a niche. I will admit that.
And
he's getting sort of niche-y.
I really prefer that when it's his original works. And we might. I can't say that when it comes to Edwards. We'll see what he does with Star Wars. It might be a phenomenal movie. I would prefer to go in with lower expectations as opposed to
mine are sky high.
Seeing a trailer and crying and
I almost
feeling such sensation for it. Like I definitely don't want to set a bar like that.
Yeah, and I mean, be prepared, because next year when Episode 8 trailer gets released, will be the same thing with. That's Ryan Johnson directing.
I mean,
too.
I got very excited for some of the Episode 7 trailers, and I think that's also part of why I feel some disappointment towards that movie.
Sure.
Again, not saying it's bad. I think it's good, but I would compare it to, like, this wasn't a strong start to this season.
Yeah, I can get that. Moving on, I got something else that's kind of random. I'm not sure really. It's not really hype train worthy. It's nothing that's really coming out, but
do you want the world to know? Do you want to let it show?
Yes. What?
I'm coming out.
Oh God.
Really? Like, how'd you not? Anyway.
Earlier this week, I had some free time. Tigers games were on until fucking 10 o'clock. So they're playing Seattle. So I was like, I'm gonna knock out some movies that I've got going on that have been in my queue. And ironically, on my Netflix, I had changed my debit card over, so my payment lacked. So I was without Netflix for like a week, but that's fixed. So I was like, I'm gonna get my Amazon Video. There's some videos on there, some movies on there I want to watch. And first and foremost, this is gonna be a little bit long-winded here.
It's already long-winded.
I
Just
know.
get to it.
There's no Amazon Video app on the Apple TV. We're still waiting on that.
We've talked about that. I think.
Something with Apple and Jeff Bezos, blah blah, doesn't matter. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll stream it from my phone, and I did, and it worked beautifully. I was
Cool.
so shocked. Like I had Amazon Video on my
so
phone.
it went from your phone to the Apple TV to the TV?
Yeah, I mean, my Apple TV is HDMI to my TV, and on Apple devices they have AirPlay, which I think Google's versions like Chromecast or Google,
basically Wi-Fi. Anyway,
yeah, exactly. So
I hate all this different terminology.
It's all doing the
BT
same
dubs
thing.
when it does the exact same thing. Like,
but I was amazed. Like
we're gonna call this IMDH.
Huh?
HDMI backwards.
Okay. No, I was super impressed. You know, I was watching it on my phone, and it was going right to my TV. There was no lag, no shoddy sequences. Like the sound all synced up perfectly. I was like, well, that was impressive. And then, as a corollary, the next day I was like, I'm going to go through Amazon Prime Video and see what else they got to offer. Their library is getting really respectable. I probably added a good dozen or so movies on Amazon Prime Video that I had no idea were on there. I'm like, these seem like good movies I've been wanting to watch. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Amazon seems like they're starting to build their roster a lot more.
Yeah.
Granted, there is so much junk in there too. Like,
oh yeah,
have you? If you've ever had to flick through this stuff, it's just like, oh my gosh! Like some of these even sound like porn.
I've got a lot of like one of the movies I watched was Inside Llewyn Davis, which is a Coen Brothers movie, and I enjoy the Coens, and they've got like 3 or 4 other movies on there. I was like, hell yeah, I'm adding that to my queue, and so I was real amped about that.
Have you heard of this Mr. Robot?
Yes.
I mean, actually, at this point, that's a hard question to ask. I feel like it's becoming a pretty proliferated show to not know about.
It's on USA, I believe.
It's also on Amazon, and I want to get excited for it and watch it, but I think I want 2 to 3 seasons before I jump in on whatever it is. It seems like everybody's kind of jiving with it, so I
need to watch
eventually.
it.
Final thing for the hype train, coming into the fall season. The Expanse. We talked about this at the beginning of the year with posting our recordings.
Oh, yeah.
10 episodes. Do you want to start? Do you want to? 10 episodes? Do you want to check it out going into the coming up on the second season, the start of the second season?
At this point, I'm going to say probably not. I need to I want to rewatch Rectify and watch that season 3. And then there was that new series on Netflix, Stranger Things.
Really good.
You said it was really good.
A lot of people are talking
weekend.
about
they
it.
said that was. They're like, "Do you guys watch that?" I was like, "No," but they did. I was like, "All right, I gotta watch it now."
Yeah. Really
so
good.
I've got at least that on my plate, and I was looking through my Amazon. I want to watch Justified on there. I want to watch The Newsroom too, really bad. With Jeff Bridges, it's only 3 seasons. It's done.
I've heard it is done. Really, I've heard really good things.
They canceled it, I guess.
Oh, really?
It's Aaron Sorkin wrote it, and he's one of the best screenwriters, at least accolades wise, right now. So yeah,
I feel like it's one of those shows I'd have to pay attention to, and for some reason I'm just not in the mood to pay attention to a show right now. So I've got a lot of background noise on. But yeah. Hype Train. Cool. There was a lot to that one. Alrighty. Guys, we'll see you in the topic for this week's episode 15. See you there.